Let me start by putting the record straight. I do not have Ph.D. I'm not a doctor. I didn't go to college for doctorate studies. Many people, when they address me, nowadays, I don't know what's going on, they address me, Dr. So-and-so. I don't know whether I look so old or they think that I deserve to be a doctor. So I have to all the time to correct people. No, I'm not a doctor. I don't have a PhD. So I have a question I want to ask you. Do you think I needed to have a PhD? What is your thinking about that? Do you think I have PhD? Are you among the people who usually when they address me, they address me as a Dr. Makulilo or Dr. So-and-so? Or did you ever think that I have PhD, doctorate? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what is the confusion of people. I know sometimes we have so many people in my family with a doctorate, they are PhD holders, but I don't have. But the question is why I don't have PhD. Okay, so let me give the reason why I don't have PhD, and give the reason should I go to take a PhD or not, should I not, like continue this way. And I would like your opinion on maybe you are convincing on this kind of dilemma I'm having now. As I said, let me start with my little bit background. I come from a very large family, a family of 13 children, and I'm number 11. So, most of my family members, I'm blessed to come with a family of very educated people. So most of them, they have PhD. When I was growing up, obviously I knew I'm going to have PhD. No question, like that is something was no brain at all. Just studying, get good grades, do bachelor, master's, PhD. So I don't know, it was just because of the family, everybody's doing well. I don't know. But again, with the current, while I was growing up with the situation in Tanzania, having a PhD is just the highest level of respect. Oh, when someone is addressing, oh, Dr. Makulilo, Dr. So-and-so, calling with your surname, all other things which are associated by being a doctor, doing what you are capable of doing research. Not everybody is able to do things of that nature. So all those things, just like it was fascinating to me, and I wanted so bad to to have PhD. So after doing my bachelor degree at the University of Dar es Salaam, political science, I did very, very good. I had very, very good grades, but I didn't want to continue to do masters in Tanzania. So I'm thankful to God I got scholarships to come to study in the United States of America. First of all, it was not directly coming to study. It was to come to America as a Fulbright scholar to teach Swahili language at Marshall University, one among the university I love, which introduced me to American life, American ethics, American lifestyle, and so many things. So I'm very much grateful to Marshall University and the small city of Huntington in West Virginia. So I did my 1-year assignment of teaching. Then from there, I went to do my master's degree at the University of San Diego, where I was able to do master's in peace studies and conflict resolution. I did very well. I got good grades. While I was doing my master's, I was still, because I was still like, that was my second year in the United States of America. So I was still very focused. I'm going direct to PhD. I applied to a couple PhDs. I got some. But at that time, I got married, started the family. So, and they didn't give me a very good scholarship at George Mason. So what should I do? I decided to stop and a little bit find jobs and started the life, because you got married. Then down the road, you have kids. Life is changing. So later I came back, okay, I don't need to do PhD at that time. Then another time, it was more about the family and other reason. But later, okay, let me do PhD. I still had that some age, let me do PhD. So I went ahead, I applied to 15 universities, and I got 2 admissions and scholarships or assistantships to 2 schools, one in Michigan, one in South Dakota, to do political science PhD. So focus there. Then I had to do the decision, should I go to do PhD after being admitted or not? So I put the pros and cons, whatever. At that time, Couple things. One, already I've been in the US for quite some time at that time. It was the year 2012. I mean, it was mostly like nearby 2014, around that time. Yeah. So the challenge which I was having is in the US, if you have doctorate, people don't advise, I mean, don't call you or just call you doctor all the time. No, they'll call you they'll call you a name, and they don't call you by your surname. So no one in the US calls me in Makulilo. They call me Ernest. So you are not to be called Doctor so and so, or whatever those high respect we used to see in Africa. So that is a little bit like, okay, should I have that? Because sometimes, well, is that the motivation while I was in Africa? That was one among. So here is different. And again, when it comes to, if you are looking about money, if you have doctorate, the amount of money you are getting in the US is not so much different from the other jobs, like the current job I'm working. So it might be more or less the same about the salary-wise. But there are some certain advantages, like if you are teaching at the college, especially you're a doctor, you have summer breaks and all other things. So there are certain advantages which differentiate the two. But the other problem is the PhD in the US is by coursework and dissertation. So you have to go to the class for 3-4 years, full-time committed to go to the class, instead of doing by thesis like in Europe, where is you and your supervisor, so you can have your time, go to the library, buy your books, and write on your own. So those are the things, like the challenges people are having. Like, so I have a family. I cannot depend my life now just with assistantship of 1,000 or 2,000, and I have a family. I have, at that time, I need to have a very good house, apartment, whatever, or I had to get a good car. You have an auto loan, all other things. So the small amount is very small to sustain the real American life. If you are single, yes, or you are international students, it's easy because your family maybe is in your country, like in Africa or in Latin America. But if you are already here, you are American, and you have a family, you cannot focus like depending on 1,500 or 2,000, just that one. And remember, in PhD, they discourage you to have another job because they want you to fully focus on studies, and again, to need to have what? Assistantship to be able to teach, something like that. And some of the universities, you sign a contract that will not have any other job apart from fully studying in the assistantship. So basically, I cannot take that kind of contract because I'll compromise my family for 3 more years of just struggling, to get PhD and to come to get the salary, which is almost the same salary I'm getting right now. So at that time, I said, well, I don't need to do PhD. This master's is okay. So officially, I said, I'm not doing PhD. Okay, life continues, but still, like, more people, every single time when they send me email, majority of people, they refer me to as Dr. Ernest Makulilo. And I'm, for those who do not know, I'm also among the editors of one of the journal in Spain, which is a conflict resolution journal of Spain. So I'm also among the editors. So whatever they address to me, they write to me, "Dear Dr. Ernest Makulilo." I'm not a doctor. Why are you people confused all the time? So because of all this confusion, and every time, like, you have to explain to people, like, now I don't want to take a PhD just to get a job. I just want to have, now I'm thinking of just PhD just to avoid that confusion. Like, okay, like people addressing me. So if someone is addressing me Dr. Ernest Makulilo, I'm okay. I've no need to start giving explanation. Please don't use that awkward moment. Someone believed you were a doctor because you publish books, you are talking too much. So I'm thinking now of doing PhD. But not just PhD so that I can go and become academia and becoming just working as an instructor. Just to have, first of all, like, we'll be having just PhD to avoid that, just put that in my bank. Like, okay, this was part of my dream while I was growing up. Let me put it here and continue with my life. That's what I'm thinking. And for that case, I will not do PhD in America or American universities because the system of education is coursework and dissertation. I don't have time to start going to the school in the classroom every single day for the next 2-3 years. I don't have that time. But I have to find a university, whether in Europe or Africa, where I can do PhD by thesis. That means I can be able to do my writing, my research. And and another thing which came to another to be a force for me, why do I need to do that? Because currently I've started writing books. I'm writing 2 to 3 books per year. So if I'm able to write 2 to 3 books per year, so what about writing just a piece of work, academic piece of work? I'm good at writing. So my 3 books in a year, that is just like another dissertation for my PhD. So if I decide, I can even get my PhD within a year if I want. Because my brothers, Alex and Alexander, professors in Tanzania, they did their PhD for 1 year because they were committed in writing. So I can write 3 books in a year. Is it difficult if I decide to do even 1 year to do PhD just by thesis, by writing? But even if I say, okay, I don't need to rush by 1 year, I can write within 3-4 years just to write 1 book. I mean, just one, whatever thesis, and to be able to accomplish that. So that is another motivation. Like currently I publish a book about Imperialism 2.0, Why Africa. That book is just about economy mixed with political science and African development in general, which is almost 180 something pages. So if that book, I read back at my book, I say, okay, I explain everything very, very good. Like this can be just like part of my dissertation. I wrote a book about It Was Not Russia, and I explained about American political system very well. So if that's the case, why can't I write a book about American political systems? That's why I'm thinking, okay, if I'm writing a book, I'll write about presidential election in the US, and I'll focus more about popular votes versus electoral votes, and how do they determine the American election. And I already have the topic, and I've started writing just some tips, just in case if I have to do PhD. So my topic is very simple. Is popular vote popular in the United States of America when it comes to the US election, US presidential election, and specifically the case of 2000 and 2016 presidential elections, which we saw both elections, the winners of those both 2 elections, they didn't win popular votes. They won electoral, but they won popular. They lost the popular. So, which I've already explained some of these concepts in my book. So, just to go further step, put that interview people and just put it on my thing and to become like dissertation, I can do that even within a year. I mean, 2 years, piece of cake. I can do that. So my question is, I'm just still figuring out, are my reasons strong enough? Or should I just let it go, slide away, and just, okay, if someone call me a doctor, I say, no, I'm not a doctor, and every time I just need to give explanation. Or just go ahead and put there, if someone calls you doctor, to be Ernest Boniface Makulilo, that's comma, Ph.D. And I'll focus more on politics or political science. What do you think? Is that good enough? Or is it just a crazy reason and the obsession of excellence and just studies all the time? Yeah, so that is something I'm looking forward, just like I'm still making this decision, processing out. I don't know if you have ever come across to yourself in a situation where you have to see your childhood dreams versus reality. Which one can you make that decision based on? Do you want to do PhD? And if you want to do PhD, why do you want to do PhD? What are your reasons for trying to do PhD? Maybe you can convince me. Or why don't you want to do PhD? Convince me, so that I can be hearing on your side too. Let's share the comments here and see. Should I or should continue to have just masters and continue with my life? My plan of writing is very easy. I'm planning to write 100 books. I've already written 10 books so far. I'll keep writing. I'm not stopping. So should I also, if I'm planning to write 100 books in 30 years, why can't I, in those 100 books, include the dissertation for my PhD? It's possible. I don't know. Instead of writing 3 books or 5 books in 2 years, why can't I take those 2 years and put one masterpiece, dissertation, thesis, and turn that one to be a book, and that one to be dissertation, and be crowned as your PhD? Yeah, so that is something I want to share with you, and I want to know your opinion about the PhD studies and if that is a very good reason or not. So please remember to subscribe here and check some of the suggested videos here. Thank you so much, everyone. I really appreciate your support and continue the way of sharing videos and everything to other people. So thank you, everyone, and goodbye.